Leadership, 2 words at a time. I am super excited in this video to introduce you to Bill Treasure. He is this wise guy who's become a friend, written multiple books, and in the spirit of not just giving you my voice in these videos, I'm gonna port in Bill to share about his next book, which launches today. Before I ever recommend somebody read a book, I recommend that they read the back cover of the book. And in lieu of having the back cover in front of you, I've just invited Bill, the author himself, to come share a little snapshot or a little piece of the book that you might find useful right now in this moment. If you choose to buy the book afterward, beautiful. The link is in the description. So I'm going to let Bill unpack this, and I might interject with a couple thoughts as we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Treasure.
Hey, Chad Littlefield, my buddy, and your friends and listeners in your community. I want to take a moment and share with you some lessons from my new book, Leadership, 2 Words at a Time. Chad asked me to share these. And these 3 are the 3 S's of leadership that will help you not just get into a leadership role, but stay in a leadership role. And the first S is self-discipline. Why should you be required to lead anybody else if you can't lead yourself, right? So, do you have a daily rhythm? Do you approach the world in a disciplined way? You can think of the idea of leadership fitness. Are you fit to lead? First being self-discipline. Do you manage your time well, for example?
Self-discipline. This is something on one hand, in some aspects of my life, I'm super good with. And in other aspects of my life, I totally fail at. At a deep level, it's actually, I think, one of the reasons that I hang this map upside down on my wall. Because for me, self-discipline is constantly remembering that I always have a choice in what I do next. And so to not land myself in a place where I feel like I've been pushed into this corner of my life, I want to be the designer of my own world. And I think that's part of what happens when you get disciplined. Every once in a while in my feed, like some insane Navy SEAL will pop up who's doing like waking up at 4:30 in the morning and doing this. I don't know that I fully resonate with that. But what I do appreciate is the concept that when you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, you're not actually paying attention to your feelings because those are fleeting and they may steer you away from something you know is good or healthy for you. And so when I wake up early in the morning, at least for the last year and a half, I go and swim with a team in Pittsburgh, a little medium-sized adult swim team in Pittsburgh, which is kind of fun. Side note, Bill once was a crazy high diver, like high diver into little shallow pools. Terrifying.
Second is self-exploration. Do you know what you're good at? And do you know what it's like when you take those strengths that you have and maybe overuse them and they start to cast a shadow? So self-exploration. You've got to know yourself deeply before you can be qualified to lead other people. So do some self-assessing, self-exploration to make sure that you are now fit to lead others because you know who you are.
Ooh, Bill, I feel like you've called me out in this moment with self-exploration. So I'll share that vulnerable realization that I had as I actively, because I was watching your video as I was recording this video. And on one hand with self-exploration, Will Wise, my late co-founder and partner, used to say, even until his last days, used to say that the moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying. That is like embedded very deeply for me. Being in a role where I'm constantly in front of groups with the intention of being good at what I'm good at for their benefit. I think the element of self-exploration, but knowing when you're overusing strengths and casting a shadow, right? And so it's easy for me to walk into a room and steal a lot of attention. And so it's constantly an important reminder. And this is an important reminder as an older sibling with 2 younger siblings to be really deliberate about sharing the limelight and not stealing it all. So thanks for that, Bill.
And the third S is self-care. Leaders tend to put everybody else as a priority, most especially the results that they're aiming to get. So sometimes we put ourselves lower on the priority list. Self-care means having personal boundaries, making sure that you are self-respectful by setting aside to take good care of yourself, fitness-wise, mentally-wise, and in nutrition.
Bill, the self-care one, if I had heard this 3 months ago, I would have been like, yeah, self-care, and I would have listed off some things that I know are good for self-care. But I've recently had an aha that I'm really appreciative of that might be fun to add on to your framing of this as well. And that is my wife and I, Kate, were in a conversation. We realized that my job is actually, despite what I do during the day, my job at the end of the day is to actually come home with energy for family. And so whatever happens in that day, so as somebody who doesn't have a real regular schedule, travels sometimes takes a Tuesday morning off because I have an irregular schedule. And that drives Kate wild sometimes because it's hard for her to get into a routine and a plan when my routine and plan is all over the place. Maybe I need to go back to number one and have some self-discipline there. But what she said is in some ways, I would prefer that you just work from these hours every single day exactly like it is, even though you don't have a boss that's necessarily commanding you to be there. Even if you go on a run in the middle of the day or a swim or do something for yourself during that day, your job is to show up at home with energy. As Bill wraps up, if you want to click open the description and find a link to the book, one of the framings in the book that I really appreciated was that many leadership books are written only for the top, like that C-level, EVP, AVP, VP, Elemento, QRZ level. The vast majority of leaders don't have one of those titles, but they're leading people, whether it be a small team or themselves, or they run a group by themselves. And so this book is really, really good, low-hanging fruit, essential ideas for those folks to become better leaders. So if you fit into that category and you're looking for a new read, check out Bill's book below. Bill, thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
So there's 3 S's to help you not just get in a leadership role, but stay in a leadership role: self-discipline, self-exploration, and self-care. Thanks, Chad.
Have an awesome day.